another special guest this week. A musical genius. He's giving us hits. His pen game is crazy. He's a singer. He's a songwriter. And I read a producer, and I read somewhere that you used to rap too back in the day.
Yeah, that's how I started. That's how I started.
You know, really, really talented guy. He's been in the game for a minute, giving us hits. My brother Rico Love, I show him some love in the comments. Rico Love on the FloWay show, man. Thank you, my brother.
What up?
Thank you for tuning in, man. Thank you for joining and tapping in with us, man.
No doubt.
How's things been for you, man? How's your day been going? How's your week been going?
Man, it's been blessed, man. You know, I'm blessed to be able to do what I love every day. So, you know, even if it's a bad day, even if it's a stressful day, it's a blessing because I'm doing what I absolutely love. You know what I mean? So the most in the world besides my children is this. So I get to have fun and make records and do business and be an executive and, you know, and do my thing. It's exciting.
You know, you're such a diverse singer, songwriter, producer, man, and you have a distinctive sound. You know what I mean? We know it's you when we hear you. When did you first discover your passion for creating and writing music? When did that first click to you?
I started writing poetry when I was 5 years old. As soon as I learned how to write, I started writing poetries and writing rhymes and learning the patterns, A, B, A, B, A, A, B, B, like different type of patterns and writing schemes. So I think it was something that was innately, you know, discovered. Like something I just always felt and knew. And then when I started, you know, when I was a kid, I used to watch VH1 Behind the Music, and I studied, you know, AC/DC, Def Leppard, Ted Nugent, Marvin Gaye, Michael Jackson. My dad had a tape of Motown 25, and anytime, you know, I would be in New York with him, he would that's all he was into was Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, Smokey Robinson. He was just a Motown head. So I studied Motown. I studied Michael. I studied Marvin. I studied, you know, Susan DePass and Barry Gordy. So as a small child, I kind of like innately was drawn to the idea of being a performer. And I had a gift for creating and writing short stories and writing poetry and things like that. So it was something that kind of like was birthed in me.
You know, being from Milwaukee and Harlem, right? Can you explain how these two worlds came together for you?
My parents met in the military. So I was born in New Orleans. And when they met in the military, my dad's from New York, my mother's from Milwaukee. So when they were together, they were down in Louisiana. When they divorced, my dad went to New York and my mother went back to Milwaukee. And my parents, you know, I went back and forth between each parent. So it would be like half of the year. So my parents would meet in Toledo, and my dad would drive to Toledo, my mother would drive to Toledo. It was like a package. It was like a drug transfer or something. And I would get in one car and go to New York, and then I would get, you know, come back and get in the car and go to Milwaukee. So it was a thing where it was something I got so used to, and I think I don't have a real issue with detachment because of that. Because, you know, you have friends that you never see again. You know, this person might have moved away. We didn't have Facebook at that time. We didn't have IG and ways to keep in contact. So yeah, it was like that going back and forth, and it was an opportunity for me to see two different worlds. I'm talking about two, like a stark difference, like incredibly different worlds, but both of them taught me.
Harlem is flashy. Harlem is get money, niggas. You know what I mean? Harlem is
and Milwaukee is really rough and really tough and really grimy and really, you got to really be, your head got to be on the swivel. You know, like, which is in all places, but it's something about that level of savagery. You know what I mean? That it teaches you a lot about protecting yourself.
So in a way, that was like a blessing to you.
Yeah, everything in life has been a blessing because I was able to kind of learn different cultures and being able to adapt musically. So if you listen to music I could write in any genre. I could write for any artist from any coast, from any region, because of my ability to adapt, being right in the middle and going back and forth.
So going back and forth between Milwaukee and Harlem, how did you end up in Atlanta? Like, what pushed you kind of?
I went to college at FAMU in Florida. So I met a guy named Vincent Searcy, who was my first ever manager, who discovered me, and he lived in Atlanta. So I started going to Atlanta every weekend, and we were trying to just give me a deal. So I would literally catch the bus. It was $35 one way, $35 on the return, and I would go every weekend. Like I missed out on all the parties and all that stuff because I was literally on a Friday, Saturday morning 5 a.m. I was on the bus at the bus station taking the bus to Atlanta, and I would come back Sunday night just so I could make it back to school. So every weekend I did that, and until they kicked me out of school.
It was like it's not gonna work.
Actually, I was getting actually it's crazy. I was getting straight A's in college, but financial aid. They said I didn't have my financial aid together. We found out later that was false, but it was a blessing because the weekend I got kicked out of school was when I got discovered.
Wow. You know, it's crazy. I spoke to I spoke to Drummer Boy a few weeks ago,
That's my man.
and his situation was kind of a little similar. This with him traveling back and forth from the A and going back and forth to school, and end up missing school and end up getting kicked out of school. So it's kind of, and then his break kind of came after that too. So, sometimes I think that especially artists, music choose you. You know what I mean? Like you choose it. So sometimes you can be kind of going in a direction in life, and things just kind of just, you know what I mean? God just kind of spin you around into the direction that you need to go. We all know you from Throwback, from the pen game. We all know you from Usher, like on the early side in the beginning. But you were kind of understudying. You were kind of working with Jagged Edge, right? Too. I read that somewhere. That you had a history. You had a relationship with Jagged Edge. How did that relationship kind of transpire? What did you get out of that?
Honestly, the Jagged Edge relationship was extremely pivotal in my career because it's what introduced me to the Corner Boys. And Corner Boys was a producer duo that was signed to a production agreement with 581 Music, which was Jagged Edge's company. And when I met those guys, we just became joined at the hip. Like we just wanted to create music together. I would catch the bus to Atlanta and I would sleep on their couch on the weekends. And in the summers, I would stay at their house and we would just do music all the time. And that's how I developed my pen. So, yeah, meeting Jagged Edge was a blessing because I was able to partner with my guys. And actually, how I met Usher was because Usher was looking for producers. And my guy Ed Long came to me and said, came to them and said, he looking for producers. Why don't y'all produce this? He gave him an acapella to a song called If I Want To. And they wanted to remix it. I remember back in the day, everybody was doing remix albums. J-Lo had one, JD had one, Murder Inc. had one. So they would do remix album. Usher was going to do a remix album for 8701. And he asked them to produce one of the songs. When they produced it, I rapped on it. And that's when he heard me. So it was like all of these relationships mean so much. It was Jagged, Corner Boys, Usher. Like all of these things kind of came together. And Atlanta was an incredible scene. Like we were all struggling trying to make it. It was myself. It was T.I. It was Jock. It was Kerry Hilson. It was Keisha Cole. It was Sierra. It was, we were all up under Tricky Stewart and B. Cox and Jazzy Faye. They were on top of the game at that time. And we were like their understudies and sleeping on floors in studios and trying to make it. So that whole community that Atlanta breeded, and as far as the hip hop and R&B scene, was incredible. And it was incredibly important, starting with Jagged and how it kind of like, it was like a tentacles that kind of spread out in different directions and everybody kind of made it in their own respective way. But I think that Jagged was like the introduction to me as far as the Atlanta music scene.
Wow. Salute to Jagged Edge, man.
Yeah, man.
When you started to work with Usher, what was that process like? At the time was because he was Usher, right? He was Usher at the time. Like, he was the Usher that we know today at that time.
Yeah. It was. I met Usher after 8701, so it was in between 8701 and Confessions. So he was a huge star, a mega star, and then during the process of making Confessions was when I would come to his office every day and say I needed money, and he was like, "Yo." Which, you know what I mean? So he said, look, I'm not going to give you no money, but here's this beat that Just Blaze did. He told me, I want you to write a rap to it, and I'm going to make it a song. But then my manager, Cersei, said, nah, don't write a rap, write a song. So first song I ever wrote was Throwback on the Confessions album. And I sat in the car.
You ever wrote ever?
Ever. So I sat in the car, and I wrote it in the phone. It was a flip phone. I sang into the memos in the flip phone. and I gave it to this guy named JQ Smith, and JQ demoed it for me because at that time I didn't sing. So I just sang good enough to get the idea out. JQ demoed it for me, and I played it for Usher, and they lost their mind. They didn't expect it. They thought I was gonna write some raps, and they were gonna take
Mm.
it and do some stuff. And honestly, I think he probably just didn't even think it was gonna be nothing. He probably was like, "Let me give him a shot," but I really don't have, you know what I mean? And
Right, right. You need this bread. I'm gonna make you work for
yeah, or figure out
it.
something to do to so I can say at least I gave you a shot. So I did that, and then they loved it. We ended up cutting the record, and L.A. Reid, shout out to L.A. Reid, is because it wasn't going to make the album at one point, and then L.A. Reid made the call and said make sure that song makes the album. So the fact that I got a label deal over at Hitco with L.A. Reid right now is like full circle because he doesn't even know that unknowingly he's the reason for my career to be here today, for me to be here today.
Salute to LA Reid.
Yeah.
You with all of the records, right, that you've done for Usher, Beyonce, Mario, Trey, and you branching out and doing music yourself as well, coming out as an artist. Were you ever like, damn, I should have kept that one for me?
No, no, no.
Were there ever records that you kind of wish that you kept for yourself?
No, not even. Because every song I made for me was very intentional. You know what I mean? Everything it had an emotional attachment. You know what I mean? So, I didn't just write songs for me. Every song that I've ever made for myself as a solo artist was extremely personal. It wasn't just about a hit. It was about, does this feel like what I'm feeling right now? And for me, making a record for myself was never about money. It was about in a way of expressing things that I didn't feel I was safe to express verbally to people around me. So I knew that this was a place for me to be able to create and get all these feelings out. It was more about my mental health more than anything, making these records for myself.
So it was very therapeutic for you.
Mm.
You know, how do you create the balance, right, between working with other artists and working in managing yourself and your career? How do you create that balance?
Honestly, right now, I'm only focused on working on my artists that I've signed. I signed a lot of artists, and I'm really interested in developing my record company. So, it's rare. I'm doing some sessions this weekend for some other people, but for the most part, it's really about me developing it and putting together my own record company and building. Because I look at all the hits I've written and all the success I've had for other people, and I did well in life, so I won't complain. I'm blessed, but I think about it. What if a fraction of that would have been just for my own artist, and a fraction of my success would have been for my own artist? I think that we'd be in a different we'd be having a different conversation right now. So I think that I do have an ear and an eye for talent, and I want to use that gift and help others, and also help build my dream and my brand because I've always admired Puff, I've always admired Russell and Andre Harrell and Clive Davis, L.A. Reid, Sylvia Rome. So I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to go into boardrooms and know that I broke this artist, this artist, this artist under my own umbrella, under my own, blanket. So that's my new mission right now. So there's no separation right now because I'm just really focused on writing and producing and developing my own artists.
Division One Music Group.
Yep.
I see an artist that you're working with, Mia
Mia,
Ariana, right?
Mia Ariana, yeah.
Talk about the work with her, which I got cooking up.
Oh, she's incredible, bro. Like she's a jewel. She's just an incredibly talented individual who has this dynamic personality, and it's like she's like a Lambo with super torque. You know what I mean? You got to know how to drive it because it'll get away from you. And I think all stars are like that because if you don't know how to handle it and point it the right direction, it could crash. And I think that she has an incredible ability to connect with the audience, and it's just about consistently putting out the content for people to get to know her. But we released a project called "I'm a Good Girl, Do You Believe Me" March 5th, and it's doing incredibly well. It's just the beginning for her, so we just got to keep putting out content, keep putting out music. I'm in the process of working on another project for her, so I'm just gonna keep putting out content on all of my artists, keep building them and building them and building them, telling the story until people get it. We're in a new world where you can't count on this one incredible song to do it for you. It might not be the thing that breaks you. You have to really understand that it's a long game. But when it pays off, it's an incredible, consistent lifetime residual.
Mhm. Man, I can't wait. I can't wait to see all of the work that you got cooking with her, man. I see her bubbling. And, like, what are you looking for when it comes to artists, new artists? What are you looking for?
It's a thing you can't put your finger on. It's like when you walk in the room, when they walk in the room, you just know, you just feel it, you just see it, and presence, tone, vocal ability, skills. If you're a rapper, you gotta have ability and tone, ability to translate the message. But more than anything, it's this it factor. And anytime an artist walks in the room, you got to be able to feel it and know. I've had artists that I've met via the internet on a computer, on a Zoom, and I said, "Nah, she's the one." You know, I've had artists like that where I've signed, that I looked at on the computer and said to myself, "This is a superstar." So it's some things that you can't even put your finger on. It's some things that they just got it. They just have it.
You know, with a lot of artists, right, creating with social media, creating with, doing live shows and different things like that, creating kind of like their brand on their own. Do you think that major labels are like becoming a thing of the past? Because you see everyone, it's like independent labels these days, and
No.
quote unquote like indie labels. Do you think that's becoming a thing of the past?
Nah, they got too much money. They got too much money. They will never be a thing in the past because they'll just write a bigger check. And at the end of the day, the only way they'll ever be extinct is if people understand the power that they have, and most people won't because we're struggling. We as a people are struggling, and we are the creative force behind everything in the world. So as long as we struggle, record companies will survive because they'll be able to cut us a check to change our mind about anything we ever said or felt. It's just the way it is. It's few of us who can really who speak about things, but for the most part, a check will change their mind.
Mhm. I know it's a thing too where um, I've seen artists say that they're independent. The next thing you know, you see that they're on a label too. So I think it's a
Yeah, a lot of times they be saying they're independent for the look. They'll
it's a
the
trend.
promotion.
It's like
It's
a trend.
because
It's a trend going up.
yeah, yeah, a lot of kids don't want to attach themselves to artists who are signed. They want to be fans of you, feeling like you already they grinded with you. You know what I mean? So they want to believe that story. So a lot of times, I remember I was arguing with this girl who was interviewing me years ago, and she was like, "I love our future because they're independent." And I was like, "Whoa, whoa, they're not independent. They signed to Columbia." "No, they're not. They're independent." I was like,
Mhm.
"They signed to Columbia." Now I had to look on the stuff, and I saw that they didn't have the Columbia logo on a lot of things. But at the end of the video, you saw Columbia, and I thought it was genius because they understood that their audience respects them more if they feel like they were doing it themselves. And I'm looking, I'm like, look at these visuals. You think the kid who's living in his mother's basement and got no money and no funds is producing and shooting $1 million videos? No, it's not happening. Somebody's funding it. Somebody's backing this. So I think that this new generation, the way they receive things, is based more on the perception and the idea of who you are, and not in a sense of back in the day. It was like, how big can you be, right? When I saw Puff and Biggie riding backwards in the Bentley Azure, I was like, that is what I want to be. In this day and age, it's like we want to be in the basement with you, eating popcorn, watching a little tiny TV, and come up with you from that point. If we see you, if you already upstairs in the big house, we don't want to be involved.
We
We
don't
want to
see
see
you.
we want to see the grind, and I think that's fine. I think that that's incredible to be able to know that we could actually grow with our audience. So I encourage all of my artists to understand that grind, understand it takes time, and over time they'll be able to trust you. People don't care what you know; they want to know that you care. And when they remember how much you care, when they look at you and say, "We was with you. We watched you grind. We watched you struggle. You care. You care about this because I saw you doing shows with just 10 people in the crowd and you kept performing. I saw you come to my city and perform in my homecoming and they booed you. I saw you get on stage and open up and be the opening act at the Summer Jam and you got booed off the stage. I saw you doing a show at South by Southwest and nobody clapped. They just were staring at you the whole time. And then a year later, I saw you on top. They don't care what you know. They want to know that you care. And as long as you care enough to invest in yourself, then they want to invest in you. But if it looks like it's ready made, I don't think they're going to attach themselves to it right
They're not attaching themselves to it.
now.
Facts. Facts. How do you feel about like the current state of R&B? This is like a big thing that everyone keeps talking about, and it's like R&B is dead. R&B is only on urban. It's only going to urban AC and different things like that, and hip hop is kind of dominating things. Do you think that it's just because I feel like it's kind of a circle, and things are gonna kind of like turn back around. But how do you feel about just the current state of R&B with a lot of R&B
I
artists?
don't think that's true. I think if you look at Giveon, if you look at Division, if you look at her won Song of the Year at the Grammys.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about R&B Song of the Year. I'm not talking about, she won Song of the Year at the Grammys. Her also won an Oscar. LMA, Giveon, Daniel Caesar, Tiller. Uh, look at Blast. Like, I don't know if that R&B dead conversation can really even hold up right now, because there's so many people, there's so many artists.
You know, you know what I think it is though. I think it's Rico. I think what it is that it's not getting the attention that people really look for. You have
but it's all a bubble. It's bubbling. It's bubbling. It's like what R&B is right now is what trap music was. For a while, it just was bubbling. And I think that it's so much, and then you got to redefine. Look at Six Black. Like, you got to redefine what you think. Look at like Don Toliver. Look at St. John. Is that actually hip hop? It's pretty R&B to me. You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily believe that. I just think that people aren't giving it enough thought to understand. I think what they traditionally knew as R&B. No, it's not Boyz II Men. No, it's not going to be Jodeci. No, it's not going to be, it's just a different energy. And it's still soul and substance in that. It's still a lot of Snow Allegra. It's still a lot of, it's some artists out here that are incredible, that making some incredible music, that have incredible audiences. I just think people need to understand the evolution of R&B, as opposed to saying, oh, it's not the same. You got to grow in this shit. If you're not willing to grow with this, and understand that everything not gonna sound and feel the same, you're gonna be angry a long time. And I had to get over that. Many years ago, I had to start understanding, like, all right, bro, either you're gonna play the game and change it, or you're gonna be the guy standing outside the wall throwing stones at the castle, saying this is not the castle I'm used to.
Right, because everything changes, nothing stays the same. And I was speaking to my guy from I got sold the other day, and I was like, listen, bro, it's not that it's dead. It's not getting with some artists that you may not be getting that attention, but it's there.
But I think they are getting the attention. Like, I can name you 25 artists who are selling out their venues and working to build the audience. It's not an overnight thing, just the same way it wasn't for EDM. Now, how long it took EDM to come to the forefront, and then they stayed on top. You see how hard it took trap music to stay. See how long it took drill music to come up. Over time, it bubbled. One person takes off. Look at R&B. Look at the charts. Look at urban radio. Look, even if you look at rhythm radio. Look at how many R&B influenced artists or even R&B records are living on those charts. Now, is it a lopsided number because of the number of hip hop records? Yeah, of course. I mean, it's lopsided because it's much easier to get in the studio and just say ba 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 and then go crazy and go platinum. But it's just so different when you look at what R&B, what it takes to make an R&B record. It's going to be fewer artists because of how much goes into creating those type of records. But I don't think it's a situation where it doesn't have a home, or it's just not getting it's getting light. No, like Grammy Song of the Year was an R&B song.
Big.
That's big. That's big.
Another thing is people look for it in specific artists. So people are going to
they want their old favorite artists to be able to still be on top.
To deliver them that feel. I get it.
Chris Brown's still doing Chris Brown. He's still doing Chris Brown numbers. Mm-hmm. And he got a whole album with Young Thug, and Young Thug is singing on the whole album. So you can't say R&B is dead, because R&B lives in so many different artists. They just call themselves something different. I've never heard Roddy Ricch rap. I've only heard him sing. I have never heard him rap.
Yeah, you're right.
But you call him a rapper.
Well,
right?
a lot of rappers are singing
Yeah,
nowadays.
even track star. People don't understand that's a rap. That's an R&B song. People
Not
consider him a rapper, but he's not. He's
no,
singing.
not at all.
And what I'm saying is, so show me a record. Show me a record where Young Thug is rapping. He's singing every time he opens. He's singing.
Mm.
So it's like it's Ride Wave. Show me a record with
Yeah,
Ride
I
Wave
don't
is
know why he's
rapping.
category as a rapper.
He's it's because of the content. It's because if
Because
the
what he's singing
content feels
about.
gutter street, then it feels that way. What about the new kid from North Carolina, the fat kid who got that dope record?
Quicksand, Moray.
Yeah, Moray.
Yeah, he's singing too.
They consider him a rapper. He's singing on the whole record. So R&B can't die. All these guys are making R&B records.
Just in a different way from what people are used to. You know, Rico, your dedication to the game has been super serious, right? What has been one of the biggest sacrifices you would say that you made for this?
My time, my sleep. I don't sleep much. I'm kind of obsessed. I have a hard time getting to sleep. I wake up really early. I sleep really late. Um, I think that my mental health has taken. I spent many years not focusing on my mental health, and I think that because of that, because of the music and the sacrifice you have to make to wear this many hats. I mean, I'm so obsessed with the victory and winning, and bringing the music to the culture, and making sure that I don't leave the culture alienated. I think that that part is kind of like that's the toll it takes, because mentally you don't give yourself a break. So I want to try my best now to kind of do more to protect myself and protect my mental health. That's the biggest sacrifice. Like, you could really lose your mind. You could really do everything for everybody, and they'll have the hand out looking at you like, well, why you didn't do this? You know what I mean? And that part of it is like difficult, especially when you're dealing with artists in a world where nothing is good enough, and then nobody has accountability. But we can't expect princes to be paupers. A pauper is going to be a pauper, So when you're a king, when you're a prince, when you're a priest, you have to understand that your job is you're conditioned to take care of the multitude. And when the multitude doesn't, when everything falls apart, another king will look and say, how do we build this back up? But a pauper, a subject, is going to say, who else can I serve? Because this kingdom is falling. That's the pressure on the king, is understanding that everybody around you, who you fed, who you took care of, who you clothed, who you facilitated, gave opportunities for them to earn. If the castle were to fall today, the first mind wouldn't say, how do we rebuild the castle? They'll say, this castle has fallen. I need to find another king to serve. As well,
Right.
other kings will say, what can we do to rebuild this castle? Problem is, another king will have his own castle. So you're not going to be able to build with too many kings at one time. Most of the time, it's a king over here, king over there, king over there, and they each got to worry about themselves. So that part of the game will cause for you to lose your mind, because everybody can put up with all of your flaws when everything is going right. The second it's going wrong, everything that you've always done is unacceptable now. You know what I mean? So that pressure. So if you want to ask me the biggest sacrifice, yeah, sacrifice taking care of my own mind and my own self and my own soul. I gotta be able to understand how important that is, and how important it is for me to love myself and understand that I'm valued beyond what I could do for somebody.
Absolutely. Self worth, self love is important. You
Yeah,
can't love anyone else unless you love yourself. A lot of
absolutely.
times people try to give love to other people but don't love themselves.
That's a fact.
You know, a producer sent me this question earlier, an aspiring producer. I almost forgot to ask you. And he said something pretty much about like, often in the industry, producers and songwriters have a hard time getting what's owed to them, right? Off records. Like, you create records, you have a hard time getting what's owed to you. Has this ever been something you face, and what's a way that a producer or songwriter can secure, you know what I mean? Secure their own.
I mean, every situation is unique. A lot of people are so anxious and eager to get on that they'll sign anything, or they'll do anything without doing paperwork because they just want to hurry up and do it. And that's the wrong way to go about it. A lot of people will say, "Well, I didn't get what I just do," but did you make sure that you would?
Mm.
Nobody owes it to you to do right, proper business. And me personally, I'm not doing business with nobody if it's shade. I'm not going to put in nothing that got to do with me taking from you more than you
Right.
deserve. But everybody not built like me. A lot of people don't care what you get and don't care what you have. They're going, it is what it is. But the question is, did you do your due diligence? Did you do what you were supposed to do to make sure that your bag was secure? If you didn't, a lot of times the responsibility is on you. Now, there are situations where people have been bamboozled and taken advantage of. That is very true. But a lot of cases, people haven't done their due diligence in the beginning, and they allowed themselves to be left out when it's time to eat because they were so eager. In the beginning, everybody's so happy and want to get on. I want to get on. I want to get on. I want to get on.
I want to be associated. I want to be.
And then before you know it, you're lending yourself to people who are taking advantage of it and not compensating you for that. A lot of times you got to look at yourself and say, how eager was I? Was I too eager? Was I so eager that they felt like he'll do anything, she'll do anything, so I don't have to pay her. She just want to be in the room. He just want to be in the room. You know what I mean? I don't want to be in no room so bad that it take away from my children's livelihood. Imagine looking up and seeing somebody make billions of dollars and you don't get any of it, and your children got to suffer off something that you put together. I couldn't live with myself. So at the end of the day, I can't be so hungry for something, so thirsty for something that I miss out on the business side and understanding how it all works. And there's no excuse in these days. Too much information out here. Anybody who says I didn't know is because you didn't want to know. This is not 1940. You literally can Google everything. You really can look up and ask any question and go to any conference and do anything. A lot of times people don't want to take that time because because like I said, princes ain't paupers. You know what I mean? Kings ain't subjects. And if you operate from the subject state of mind, then you just want everything to be laid out for you. And if it's not, you know, then you fuck.
Ain't nobody gonna roll up red carpet for you.
Nah, bro. Not until you get it. And then when you get it, then they gonna roll out for you. But in the beginning, ain't nobody thinking about it.
You know, you're Rico Love, right? So I'm pretty sure it's probably different for you today than what it used to be. Like when it comes, like let's say you have a record, right, and you want to get into an artist. You don't have to still go through the same kind of channels of like submitting a record.
No.
You know, do you still have to go kind of through the same process with your work and your history?
No. If I can't get in contact with you directly, then I'm not auditioning my music for anybody. But what I do is I don't send out my music to people. I don't say, I did this song, let's send it out to everybody and see who bites. No, never been my way.
Absolutely not. No, I'm saying like
a
specific artist.
Nobody, no person. If I can't get in contact with you direct, you're just not getting the record. Also, I kind of, the whole idea of shopping music and getting doing this, and I think this person should do it. I'm over that. I just want to make music for the artists around me and people I believe in, and get them so strong that I don't have to look at it any other way except outside of my circle. And that's a process. That takes time. That's not something that happens overnight. That's a couple years in the making. But when you get there, Lord, you're like, it's different. It's levels, and that's a certain level.
You know, you released that project a couple of years ago, and you had a whole bunch of new artists on there. I was hearing it, and it was dope. And I think the process, you did something where you paid the artist or something like that up front, right? You did that project. Like, was that kind of like the beginning of you saying, "Hey, listen, I want to go ahead and branch off and start my own label"?
Honestly, I didn't want to. I wanted to make a new way of releasing music. I didn't want to sign any artist directly to me. That was the reason for doing it. I was going to pay each artist $5,000 each. Well, I did. I paid each artist $5,000 each, and I wrote and produced the song. So it's not like I'm paying them $5,000 for their songs. It's my song. I wrote and produced it. I paid them each $5,000. I had 7 to 8 girls on a record. I put it out as Rico Love Presents Emerging Women of R&B, and I wanted to create a series. I still want to create a series of things like that. But then in the making that, I ran across Mia Ariana, and that's when I said to myself, this girl's too big. Like, she's too big for me not to sign her. And I had really I didn't want to sign any more artists. But I was like, she was too big. Her energy was too big. It was one of those things where it was like, if I walk away from this, I know that somebody else is going to sign it. It's going to be big, and I'm gonna be say I was right here and I didn't do it. So yeah, she was too big to walk away from.
Where's
So
she from?
she originally from Rochester, but she grew up in Charlotte. Yeah.
I just spoke to Anthony Hamilton the other day. He's managing some artists out of Charlotte too.
No word, that's what's up.
Charlotte got a lot of gems in Charlotte.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
You know, this Verzuz thing, right? It's popping. We all see it. Would you ever do something like that on a songwriter, producer scale, artist scale? Would you ever do Verzuz?
No, I wouldn't do a Versus. The only reason is because after they did Babyface and Teddy Riley, I was like, you can't do that now. Like, how do you follow? You know what I mean? I think anybody at this point on the production side, you got. I mean, there's a lot of guys who still. I think Mike Will and Mustard would be an incredible matchup, something like that. But I just feel like, and obviously with Mike Will and me and Mike Will and Mustard, we do different things. But I just think, out of respect for the legends, it would be ridiculous. It's like if you got Michael Jackson, right, and then Michael Jackson performs, and then they say, all right, cool. After Michael Jackson performed, we would like such and such to perform. What? I can't follow Michael.
Who the hell goes after
you
Michael?
Can't follow Michael. You can't follow Beyonce. So at the end of the day, I don't feel like I would be comfortable following Teddy and Babyface. This wouldn't make sense for me. And I have a lot of hits, so it's not like I couldn't do the 20 plus songs. But it's about, they just had Babyface and Teddy Riley. Like I don't want to. I can't follow.
I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, I don't want to. And especially how brutal people in the comments are. Like, people are, you understand that people sit around, they don't have nothing else to do but just criticize you. So I just think it wouldn't end well. It would be a PR disaster.
I think you're the first person I asked would they do Verzuz and kept it all the way 100 and said no.
Yeah, nah.
Just certain people I just wouldn't follow.
I gotta be a buck. It's just too much. Like, Babyface, come on, Babyface and Teddy Riley. You know that they could do each of them could do 4 more verses. Like, you know that. Like, they could do 4 or 5 more verses with 20 brand new songs that wasn't played in the other ones.
That wasn't even released.
Yes.
And then and I feel like in Verzuz they did most of the songs that people know on the R&B scale, but they have music for different genres that they produced and that we didn't.
He didn't do none of the Madonna songs.
None of them records.
Think about it. Teddy only did like 1 Michael song. Like, it's crazy. Like, he did Jam and like so many records, Black and White, and he didn't do a lot of records.
You know, I asked everyone that come on here, what do you want your legacy to be? I'm going to ask you the same thing. What do you want your legacy to be?
Good person. That's it. I teach my kids every day, what does Daddy want you to be? A good person. That is it. Everything else means nothing. Are you a good person? Because all of the records, all of the money, the big houses, the cars, when you die, somebody else going to be fighting over it. What were you to people? How did you make people feel about themselves? Not how do you make them feel about you, because that's easy. How did you make them feel about themselves? And I just want to be a good person. I want people to say he was good. He was a good person. And that's after that, everything else, I'm good with it. Whatever else anybody got to say.
Whatever else, fuck it.
Yeah, yeah.
Mia's on the check-in.
Oh, Mia's here? What's up, Mia?
Rico, man, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for everything you have given to the game, man. We salute you. We respect you. Everyone on the check-in is showing you a lot of love in the comments. The work you have done is there. It's self-explanatory. And the work that you continue to do. Thank you for putting on for new artists. You know what I mean, as well. And being the guy you are, you don't have to do that. You know what I mean? You see a lot of artists, producers, singers, songwriters come up and kind of just keep it moving. You know what I mean? And stick to the formula that they know, stick to what's getting them their bag. You know what I mean? And taking new artists and putting them under the wing and really giving them the support. You know what I mean? We salute you for that, and we can't wait to see what else you do, my brother.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for having me on.
Shout out to Sleep, man. Can we see some of the wall art? Amazing.
Just one of the
Y'all
rooms.
see it.
We got other rooms for that too.
Rooms on rooms. Thank you, man. Thank you. Everyone, thank y'all for tuning in, man. This is Rico Love, the FloWay Show. If you missed any of the conversation, it will be available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio at midnight. Thank you, my brother, man. You stay safe.
Thank you, bro.
Shout out to Mia, Ariana. What's the project? Shout out to the project.
Oh, Mia's project is currently out. It's called "I'm a Good Girl, Do You Believe Me?" We're working on new music as we speak, and I'm excited about all of the future stuff for her. And she's just incredible. She'll be performing. Anybody in North Carolina on the 19th of this month, she'll be performing for the Block Party, WPEG in Memphis, June 19th. It's from 12 to 2. She's going to be doing her thing, so I'm excited about that. I'm actually going to fly up and be with her for that show, so y'all come out.
Dope. Salute, King, man. Stay blessed, man.
Blessing. Thank you, bro.
Talk to you soon.
All right.
Peace.